When you failed over and over and over and over again, think of this as a path, a road. And you're moving on this road and it's failure, 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 failure. And someone says, hey, you're doing the right things, wrong opportunity. Doing the right things, wrong time. Doing the right things, right? Whatever it is, you got to go back a little bit, then make a left, and then go back in the same direction, but on this different road.
Well, that's hard because if you're, let's say, doing something with someone at a certain time in this venture, and all of it is right except maybe the person.
Right.
So then sometimes you look at it like, well, that wasn't for me. No, it was for you. You were on the right path. You were just doing it with the wrong person.
Yes.
So
many variables there, right? And that's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
How to tweak that.
Yeah, but here's the hard part. To go back.
Yeah.
Means you may have to, it may take you 3 months to get back, to get things corrected, to get the credit corrected, to get the right, because we made these mistakes.
Right.
So now it takes months and you got to redo almost everything you did. And that's the tough part. And all I'm saying is don't make it your final destination. This is what I had to get in my head, my self-talk, because I had bad credit, because all these things were messed up. I'm like, oh my God, if I just make one more mistake. But at some point, you got to start going the other direction. Like if you're in the hole, at some point, you got to stop digging.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Self-Talk Experience.
Self-talk. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm really excited because I'm going to be extremely vulnerable.
Oh, wow.
In this episode.
I'm always a vulnerable one, babe. Oh, what are we talking about?
Failure.
Oh, yeah.
And failure does not really.
Oh, no, say it out loud.
She just said you can talk a lot about failure.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant because you have overcome so many obstacles in your life and in business, and you would be a perfect person to be very vulnerable about not succeeding all the time.
Somebody help me.
Okay, start over.
No, we're not starting over. We're not starting over. Listen, guys. Yes, I have failed a little bit. Quite a bit, but I'm proof that It's not a final destination. It's not fatal. Failure doesn't have to be fatal. It's not like the end.
No, that's what I was trying to convey to.
But you said it even under your breath, like it came out. You know how it's like whatever's in the heart comes out. You were like, oh yeah, you can talk about that. That's for sure. It's your butt, but it was years you couldn't pay the bills.
I did not.
Yeah, all the time. I was like, man, I married this man. Is that what you wanted to say? Look, I got married. I was a manager of a retail store. The very next year, I was 24. I got married at 24. In 25, I quit my job.
Yes.
So I'm telling my in-laws, hey, for real, I got this plan. And so you're right. I failed at reaching my goals in the timeline in which I set them, because a goal without a timeline is just a dream. So we have to attach some timelines, and they have to be specific and measurable. Otherwise, how do you track it? Right? If I say, hey, I plan to lose weight. Well, that's a dream to lose weight. It's a hope, a wish to lose weight. But if I said, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 60 days,
right?
I can measure that. I'm like, man, so 60 days, that's 8 weeks.
But you also have to have a plan too.
This is exactly right. And that's what I'm going to get to. Yep.
Set a goal or set a date for the goal. You have to have a game plan.
Ooh, that's so good. Look at you, girl. Like the game plan you had when you were taking chemistry in college.
Why are you bringing that up? This is the thing. You said you were going to be vulnerable, not me. And anyway, I didn't fail. You want to know why I didn't fail? Because when I was taking chemistry, they made the mistake of letting you do take-home quizzes. Well, I'm not going to take the test myself at home. I'm going to give it to my boyfriend then? My fiance.
Fiance.
Yeah. So I was taking all the stuff in class, like all the classwork, and I was getting Fs. But then on the take-home test, I was getting A's. So I ended up passing with a C. You helped me graduate.
You really want your kids to see that you did that in school, in college?
Well, no, but I overcame a failure or a possible failure. I mean,
I don't think.
this is what this episode is about, right?
I don't think it's quite about that.
And anyway, you started the whole episode off and you said, hey guys, I'm going to be vulnerable. And then you're putting my stuff out there.
Yeah, because you said under your breath.
But I didn't fail the class. I passed the class and I got my degree.
Yes, you did. Very good. And thank God it wasn't in science.
Well, thank you for helping me. It was
You're
hard.
welcome. Hey guys, we appreciate you all allowing us to be us. And I hope that you tune in because you get an opportunity to see real us as we made adjustments and still do make adjustments.
Yeah.
With our self-talk, in our personal relationship, our professional relationship. And I think it's awesome when we get an opportunity to plug into an environment or a resource where we can grow ourselves. Because I'm a firm believer that when you take full accountability, that, man, I'm not where I want to be, then we start to seek out ways to become the person we desire to be.
How do you get better at taking full accountability? Because that is really hard. Because when you take full accountability, you're being vulnerable, right?
Yep.
Number one. But also you are acknowledging to yourself that you failed, or you're acknowledging to yourself that you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And then you're putting it out there for everyone to know that you did it.
Yeah.
So how do you get better at that? Because that is so hard to just not say, well, it's their fault.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking about this in the car because our dentist retired.
Mm-hmm.
So because we were looking for a new dentist, we couldn't get on the schedule right away. So we had a big time span where we couldn't go to the dentist. So I was trying to blame the dentist. Well, I would have got my teeth cleaned if she didn't retire. I have to take accountability for not doing the process of looking for a new dentist because I knew that she was transitioning, right? So it's so easy to blame someone else or put it on something.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, probably should have started looking for a new dentist.
Right.
3 months ago, now we're 8 months out with an appointment, right?
Oh, you want to tell the whole world that it took you that long to get back to a dentist?
Yeah, but I went.
Okay.
My teeth are great. My whole point is, how do you become better?
So a couple of things.
At that.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, when you have close relationships, and I mean the type of relationship where someone's willing to call you out and you receive it. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has that relationship.
Permission.
Right. Exactly. It's a permission level. And so not everybody has that. So people have close people around them, but when they say something, someone tells them, calls them out on something, they're offended by it. They're upset by it. They don't even speak to them for a day or a week. They're like, man, I can't believe, right? Instead of saying, wow, they're right. Especially if they were right. And especially if they said, hey, look, do you mind if I share something with you that I think will actually shine a brighter light on you? Sometimes you put things off on other people. And I think that it will allow you to reach the goals that you share with me that you'd like to hit if you accepted the responsibility, because it'll allow you to then take a look at perhaps a better way to do X, to do Y.
Well, here's the thing. What you just said is amazing. And I don't know anybody that you could say that to that wouldn't be open, even if you didn't have as close a relationship. But we were just talking about this on a previous episode. A lot of times it's the way it's presented. It's the way it's presented to you. Even if you're having a conversation with someone that you're in a relationship with, and they say, well, you know what? You do this, this, and this, and you do this, this, and this, and this, and it's all that. Yeah. Or if you're having a conversation, say, can I tell you how this makes me feel? Mm-hmm. And maybe can you think about doing it this way? It's a totally different way to look at it.
Right. Yeah. So if you have someone close to you who can perhaps message it that way, deliver it that way, that helps. Because you asked me the question, how do you How do you take accountability? Because it's tough. 2, so 1, have someone close to you who's willing to say, hey, you're not taking responsibility. In a nice way. But pretty much, you're not taking responsibility.
Right.
Number 2, hang out with those who take full responsibility. Because you become the people you hang out with, whether you want to or not.
Right.
Either they politely excuse themselves from that circle because they feel like, this isn't good for me.
Right.
Like these folks, they're not heading in the direction I'm headed in. Or you change to stay in that circle. So either the person who is doing that removes themselves because that circle they realize is not for them anymore, or the whole circle's like that except you, and you realize I got to change to stay in that circle
right.
because they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. Right. So that circle, because they take full responsibility, trust me, they don't want someone in their circle that doesn't.
Right.
Right. Because they become the average of their circle too.
Right.
So they don't want that person in there. So having a great circle that holds themselves accountable and takes full responsibility causes you to start to do the same thing. And then thirdly, being grateful. Being grateful allows you to have this sense of humility. And when you're humble, you realize I'm so imperfect and I'm so thankful that I am where I am because I know that it's only through God's grace. Like I know I'm not good and I know the mistakes I've made. I know the things I've done. I know the places I've been. Like, so that allows you to realize that, wow, through all my imperfections, I still have a roof over my head. Well, through all the mistakes I've made, like me, all the failure, all the crazy stuff I did with finances, all the times where I wasn't making money in the business because of decisions I made, but yet we still succeeded.
Right.
So I'm grateful and I'm honored and I'm humbled. So that causes me to take full responsibility because I realize, man, taking a look at my own failures caused me to take a different turn. If I looked at my failure as, hey, it is what it is, I would have never said, well, let me try to left here. Okay. And then lastly, having mentors. And I just believe you should have a mentor in every area of your life, but having great mentors will say, hey, look, here's all you got to do.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you have people that are around you, that support you, that are in your corner, it makes such a difference that you can look up to and aspire to be like, you know?
Yeah. So true. So failure. So I'm kind of joking about your chemistry class there. That's not really the direction I want to go in, but I thought I'd call you out just because.
Well, it's a true story. It's okay.
But let me just say this because it's critical. It was critical for me. I said I was going to put it all on me.
Okay.
And many of the mistakes I made, I course corrected through those mistakes. But those mistakes were important because I wouldn't have known that the direction I needed to go in wasn't the direction I was headed.
Well, you always say failure waits to success.
This is exactly right.
Right.
So it had the problem with that, because I'm making it sound easier than it is, and I promise I am. Because the problem with that is when you failed over and over and over and over again, think of this as a path, a road. And you're moving on this road and it's failure, 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 failure. And someone says, hey, you're doing the right things, wrong opportunity. Doing the right things, wrong time. Doing the right things, right? Whatever it is, you got to go back a little bit, then make a left, and then go back in the same direction, but on this different road.
Well, that's hard because if you're, let's say, doing something with someone at a certain time in this venture, and all of it is right except maybe the person. Right. So then sometimes you look at it like, well, that wasn't for me. No, it was for you. You were on the right path. You were just doing it with the wrong path.
Yes.
So
many variables there, right? And that's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
How to tweak that.
Yeah, but here's the hard part. To go back.
Yeah.
Means you may have to, it may take you 3 months to get back, to get things corrected, to get the credit corrected, to get the right, because we made these mistakes.
Right.
So now it takes months and you got to redo almost everything you did. And that's the tough part. And all I'm saying is don't make it your final destination. This is what I had to get in my head, my self-talk, because I had bad credit, because all these things were messed up. I'm like, oh my God, if I just make one more mistake. But at some point, you got to start going the other direction. Like if you're in the hole, at some point, you got to stop digging. Right. You got to stop going it down. You got to change direction. Yeah. And I think that was the hardest part for me. And like you said, it's all the variables. So we have to take a look at ourselves. For an example, people say things like, even in our business, right? Like, oh, that stuff doesn't work. And people say that about the gym, right? Like, you can't really blame the gym. You bought the membership, but you never went.
Yeah. Or you went, but you didn't eat right.
See, that's what I mean by a variable.
Or it's
right. Or you went and you were working the machines. You ever see some of those videos of the people working the machines? Like, what are you doing? That's not even how that machine works. So they're going to the gym every day.
They're eating right.
They're eating right, but they're not actually working the machines right.
Right.
So they didn't have a mentor, didn't have a trainer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's really all these variables.
Yeah.
Or they had the trainer and they worked the machines right, but they were eating horribly. Or they worked the machines right. They had a great mentor and they were eating right, but they weren't consistent.
Mm.
Right? Eating right, not eating right. Going, not going. Yeah. So it's like all these variables that exist, right? Or maybe they hadn't detoxed. They're giving themselves time. They did it for 3 months. Like, I don't see results. Dude, you've been eating wrong for 30 years.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? That didn't happen overnight. That what I see right there, that didn't come overnight.
Babe.
What?
Okay.
I'm saying these are my own mistakes. I'm talking about my own love handles.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that whatever it is you failed at, whatever it is, relationships, business, chemistry, is not a final destination.
And what you're showing me too is that it's okay to course correct.
Yep.
It doesn't mean
I do it all the time.
It doesn't deem it a failure necessarily because you're going back to figure it out.
Yep.
So it's not really a failure.
Yep. Yep. And you know how many times I've said, all right, I'm going to do this. And then 2 days out from me saying it, I'm like, I'm already off track. Mm-hmm. I'm already off track. The key is, do I go a third day off track, a fourth day? Do I say, let me go ahead and get back?
Right.
And what happens is the key is not to be overwhelmed once you're off track. Right? Like, oh, I got to make up for all the stuff. No, just... You
always talk about that.
Yeah.
So like, if you're supposed to do something every day,
right.
It's 5 days. Then on the 6th day, you want to do
right. 5
plus the 6 you're supposed to do.
It's overwhelming. Yeah. It typically doesn't happen.
Catch up.
No. It's like you're supposed to eat an apple a day, right? Which I won't even go into why, but it is healthy. And then on the 30th day, you're like, man, I said last month I was going to eat an apple a day. Let me eat 30 all in one day.
It doesn't.
That, my friends, won't be a good idea.
Right. Is that no?
Right. And then you're like,
it's a great example.
It doesn't even work. I had all these apples. I eat 30 in one day.
Right.
Well, that's because you're not supposed to eat that many in one day. Yeah. So I guess my point here is that, one, be careful defining failure as a period.
Right.
Sometimes it's a comma. It's not a stop sign. Sometimes it's a yield. Mm-hmm. Right? Just hey, let me take a second. A second for self-reflection. A second to take a look in a mirror. To take accountability. To decide, should I go faster down this lane? Or should I get in a completely different lane? Should I change the people that I'm going down this lane with? Because as you said, sometimes I'm in the right lane, right opportunity, right everything, just not with the right person.
Right.
So,
and also we have to make sure that we're not counting ourselves out because of time.
That's a good one.
Because, you watch some people fail and then, wow, they failed, but they bounce right back in 2 weeks. So they bounce right back in 3 months. And I failed and it's been 6 months, so never mind.
Yeah.
So you have to do it in your time frame and pay attention to what works for you, because maybe you need a little bit more self-care and a little bit more time off.
So true.
Than that other person who was ready to go because maybe they had a different support system.
Yep.
Or different money or anything different. So it's hard to watch. Well, we were failing at the same time and now look at them.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and they're doing great and I'm still at this place.
Yeah.
So that's hard too.
Yeah. That was tough for me, right? Because when I didn't have a lot of money, and that's a tough place to be, I can't even explain that feeling. You're not sure how you're going to be able to pay the bills, eat, but everybody looks at you as someone who's further along.
Right.
And that was a tough spot for me. And I think
also as a provider, right?
Yeah.
Those are two separate sets of emotions working at the same time.
Yeah. But what a lot of folks looking in didn't know is that I've been reading so much. So even though I didn't yield the results I desired, I was becoming someone. And because I was becoming someone, the things that were happening to me didn't impact me and affect me the same way that it affected someone else who wasn't becoming. They weren't becoming a better version of themselves. So the same thing could have happened to both of us. But what they didn't realize is that because I've been reading for 3 years consistently, my bounce back ability was much greater than theirs. And that's what you're saying, right? So because they had no books in 3 years and I had a whole bunch of books in 3 years, the same situation just took them a little bit longer because they had not become the person that was as resilient yet. They didn't believe in themselves yet.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, I like when you're vulnerable, babe. It's very attractive.
When you close out the episode, what do you want to say?
Well, I think this was great because it's helping me to think more. And also, we were just talking about this earlier. When you watch other people not being able to make it as fast, not to be so judgmental.
Yeah.
Because you never know what people are going through, and what they are thinking, and what's happening for them. And sometimes you think, well, why is it taking them so long? Well, don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to look at that and say, well, I did it with this situation. I'm not sure why they can't.
Yeah.
Because you're not sure.
Yeah. So, depression. There's a whole bunch of other things people dealing with.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just also learning to be more sensitive to other people.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, guys. So we expect that you can use your failures as stepping stones to get to your next level. And all the folks who are expecting you to stay exactly where you are, use that as motivation to get to that place that they couldn't even imagine you being. You deserve it. Your family deserves it. Your future deserves it. Your legacy is counting on it. Remember, this is a self-talk experience. The things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves.
And also... Why are you laughing?
Because she does this every episode. It's the funniest thing. It's like, I go for the close. She's like, and by the way, go ahead.
But it's good all the time. I was just going to say, to close us out, babe, that it's pretty impossible to fail if you're watching the self-talk on Thursday.
And, now what if you kept going back and forth like that? All right, guys, take care. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.
If you've ever started something and said to yourself, I'm not quitting until I reach the finish line, there's a perfect podcast for you. The We Won't Quit podcast by my man, Mike Humes, mailman and millionaire, never gave up. Not only did he have success, but he's helped a ton of other people do the same thing. He's going to be interviewing people who never stopped until they finish. So check it out. We Won't Quit podcast.